The Toronto Blue Jays had a really good 2022 season. So did the Seattle Mariners, and the wild card series between the two in Toronto was bound to be a fun one. It's pretty interesting considering the two teams have similar stories in a sense where they were actually not that great at one point during the regular season. Seattle was 10 games back of 500 at one point in late June, only to go on to eventually win 14 straight games, get right back into the thick of the playoff chase, win 90 games, and find their way into the postseason for the first time in 21 years. As for the Blue Jays, they were never 10 back of 500, and even though they had a record over 500, they were clearly underperforming, with it getting to a point where the team decided to fire their manager Charlie Montoya. After making that move, the Jays eventually got back to playing the way we all expected them to play, winning 92 games and clinching a playoff spot for the first time since 2016, setting the stage for a wild card series at home against Seattle. The pitching matchup in Game 1 was Alek Manoah for the Blue Jays against Luis Castillo of the Mariners, two Cy Young caliber starting pitchers going head-to-head. Manoah didn't really look like a Cy Young caliber pitcher overall in this game, giving up 4 runs on 4 hits, one of which was a home run and a walk. As for Luis Castillo, he channeled his inner Pedro Martinez, throwing 7 1/3 shutout innings, striking out 5 hitters, blowing 100-mile-an-hour fastballs by guys, and then dropping his nasty changeup. He was filthy, and the Jays offense was shut down for the entire game, losing 4-0 and having to now fight for their life in Game 2. The road ahead wasn't getting much easier for them, with former Blue Jay and 2021 American League Cy Young Award winner Robbie Ray on the mound. But bad news for Seattle, the Blue Jays lineup woke up. A Teoscar Hernandez 2-run bomb would jump the Jays out in front 2-0 in the second. Vladdy Jr. then roped one up the middle in the third to make it 3-0 before Teoscar connected off Ray again for a solo shot this time to make it 4-0 Blue Jays. By the bottom of the fifth, the Mariners had been able to muster just 1 run off of Kevin Gausman on 2 hits through those 5 innings, and then the Jays offense came to play yet again. A bases loaded wild pitch would plate run number 5, a Teoscar Hernandez hit by pitch would plate run number 6, followed by a Matt Chapman sac fly for run number 7, and then a Danny Jansen double to make it 8-1 Blue Jays. This game was clearly done for Seattle, down 8-1 with the Jays threatening for even more, and their pitchers didn't even know where they were throwing the ball. The first batter that Diego Castillo faced, Whit Merrifield, would get smoked in the head, looking back out at the mound at Castillo with a glare, understandably so. It wasn't intentional, but it was the second Blue Jays hitter to get smoked in the inning, and of course whenever something hits your head, you're not going to smile and be happy about it, no matter what the circumstances. A ground out from the very next hitter would end the inning, but the damage was of course done, as the Mariners had a 7-run deficit with just 12 outs to go. That's when the magic started. A Ty France leadoff single, followed by a Eugenio Suarez single, which was then followed by a Cal Raleigh single, would load the bases up with nobody out against Gausman. They had something going, only for Mitch Haniger to strike out and Adam Frazier to pop up. 2 outs, 8-1 Blue Jays. This was the Mariners' chance to climb back into this game, and they were about to blow it. Carlos Santana had to do something. Wild pitch, 8-2. 2 pitches later, Santana would smack one over the left field wall to cut the deficit to 3. The Mariners did absolutely nothing in the 7th, going down in order, as the Blue Jays tacked on another run in the bottom half of the inning to make it 9-5. 6 outs away from forcing a winner-go-home Game 3. A leadoff double by Eugenio Suarez would kick things off in the 8th, as Cal Raleigh would drive him home with a base hit, 9-6. A single, followed by another single, would load him up with nobody out. This was a prime opportunity to do something huge, but after Carlos Santana and Dylan Moore struck out, things looked bleak yet again. Cue more 2-out magic. JP Crawford wouldn't even hit the ball very hard, literally popping it up to center in the perfect spot where nobody could get a glove on it, dropping down for a 3-run double to tie the game up as George Springer and Bo Bichette had a nasty collide, leaving both of them shaken up on the outfield turf. Bichette ended up being fine, thankfully, but Springer had to get carted off the field. The game was now tied and the crowd was stunned. With just 1 out in the bottom half of the inning, however, the Jays had a chance to answer right back with a go-ahead run, as Bichette walked and stole second with 1 out. 2 groundouts by Vladdy Jr. and Alejandro Kirk would fail to bring him home, and on to the 9th we go. Cue even more 2-out magic. With 2 outs in the top of the 9th, Adam Frazier would line a double to right, bringing home Cal Raleigh, who doubled 2 batters earlier, giving the Mariners a 10-9 lead with just 3 outs to get in order to move on. A 1-out walk by Matt Chapman started a hopeful rally for Toronto, only for Danny Jansen to strike out and Raimel Tapia to line a harmless fly ball into center for Julio Rodriguez to put the squeeze on, ending the game, the series, and the Blue Jays season. This was an incredible comeback for the ages, or an incredible choke for the ages, however you look at it. The comeback by Seattle was insane, but it's even more insane to think about how many runs came with 2 outs. The Mariners scored their first run on a sac fly. After that, and after eventually being down 8-1 at one point, the Mariners outscored the Jays 9-1, scoring 8 of those 9 runs from the 6th inning on with 2 outs. The wild pitch, the Carlos Santana homer, the 3-run game-tying double by Crawford, and the Adam Frazier go-ahead double all came with the Blue Jays just 1 out away from ending each rally by Seattle. Unbelievable. I'm not necessarily quick to call this a complete collapse by the Blue Jays, but honestly, it may be. They were expected to make a big run this year, only to have their season end in this kind of way so early in October. They cannot be satisfied with this season as a whole when it's all said and done, as this is going to be really tough to swallow if you're a Blue Jays fan. In fact, you can hear from some of the Blue Jays fans themselves. Watch.
Worst experience I've ever had at a sporting event in my life. 8-1.
When you're up by a touchdown in baseball,
You should not lose.
you should be able to figure it out.
That was terrible. That was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I never want to watch baseball again. Never.
Sports are banned in Toronto. We're done. Sports are not for us.
I think we'd be used to it. We're Toronto fans. It happens every year, man.
I'm honestly distraught at the moment. I can't put it into words. It's terrible. The only thing I have to hang my hat on is the 2019 Toronto Raptors. Shout out Raptors. But literally, that's the only thing that I've ever had to celebrate in my life. I was 5 years old the last time the Jays won a pennant. It's absolutely pathetic.
The Blue Jays very clearly had this game in the bag, but this Mariners team is just special, man. They didn't quit, kept chipping away, and eventually came all the way back to win it on the road and move on to the ALDS.